Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Free Advice Friday. Looking forward to spending some time with you today, answering your voiceover business and marketing questions. It's been a while since we had the opportunity to do one of these things. I know that's on me. I've had a very crazy schedule lately, but I'm here now. Looking forward to answering your questions and hoping that we are able to dispense some brilliant advice on Free Advice Friday today. So for those of you who are familiar with Free Advice Friday, you know how it works. If you've got a voiceover business or marketing question that you would like to ask and get answered, you can go ahead and type that into the comments, and I will answer as many questions as I can over the next little while. For those of you who have never been here before, don't be shy. This is your opportunity. Think of it as a free coaching session. 1 hour to sit down with Mark Scott and have him answer all of the pressing voiceover business and marketing questions that you've been thinking about. And so whatever it is that you want to know, again, type it in, and I'm happy to answer as many questions as I can. If you are going to put a question into the comments, I would just ask if you put a Q before your question. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to find when it pops up in the chat there as things get going and things get busy in the chat. But definitely looking forward to answering all of your voiceover business and marketing questions today. So let's start with a confession. I wasn't going to do this because I know I'm going to catch flack for it. But you know what? The heck with it. I am nothing if not honest and transparent. That has been one of my things from the very beginning as I've started coaching. So I did something. 2 weeks ago. I was getting ready to go on vacation. I think it was like June 27th or something that I was leaving for vacation. On June 26th, Voices.com sent out a thing offering $200 off a subscription for the year. And so I've been debating testing out the platform again. I have not been on it since 2016. I had actually been banned from the platform for a really long time, but managed to get them. I convinced them to let me have access to my profile again. So I've been debating whether or not I wanted to try it out. I obviously have signed up for Voice123 again just to see what's going on there, try to understand the platform. We've talked about that on Free Advice Fridays in the past, but I really felt like I have not been on Voices.com in a decade. I don't really know what's going on there anymore. And I wanted to be able to talk about it intelligently. And I wanted to be able to see if anything has changed, good, bad, or otherwise. So when they sent me the thing for $200 off, I said, you know what? I got nothing to lose at this point. Let's give it a shot and see what's going on. And so I ultimately did decide to sign up. So I signed up the day before I left on vacation just because I wanted to take advantage of that special offer that was being presented. And that offer was going to expire before I got back from my holidays. And so didn't want to miss out on it. So signed up, sent a note to Samantha Damiano, and said, Sam, I signed up for Voices.com. Can you go work your secret voodoo magic on my Voices.com profile and, do it well. If you can do it while I'm away, great. Then I can start auditioning when I get back. So she did her thing. I think 100% voice matched right now across the board. I have not seen anything that I was not 100% voice matched for, which my understanding from my podcast with Gina Scarpa was you need to be 100% voice match if you really want to have a chance on that platform. So Sam has done her thing and made me a 100% voice match on all the different categories, which has been fantastic. So I started auditioning this week. Now, one thing that I will say right off the bat is there has not been nearly as many auditions as I thought there was going to be. There has not been nearly as many auditions as other people have told me that they are seeing. There are two things that I think are part of that. One, obviously, we just had the Canada Day holiday and the July 4th holiday. And so there's not much going on while those holidays are happening and people are taking extended weekends and things of that nature. So I certainly understand that side of it. The other thing is, again, not an expert, still learning, but it sounds like there is an algorithm that still has to kind of figure out who I am and what I'm going to do on the platform and how often I'm going to show up, how often I'm going to audition or whatever. So I've been trying to get a sense of that at this point. So in the first week, I think I've submitted 16 auditions. 8 of those auditions have been listened to. I have been shortlisted. I was shortlisted for 3 so far, and I've had one of those shortlists reach out to say I'm, in the top 2 or whatever, and they're going to make their decision next week. So just from that alone, just from that, I have already had a better experience on voices.com than I have had on Voice123. Last week or 2 weeks ago on Voice123, I had a booking and I got a 5-star review, and I thought that would be enough to bump me out of the 50th percentile. It wasn't. Even with a booking and a 5-star review, I still could not get bumped out of the 50th percentile. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do anymore to get out of the 50th percentile on Voice123. I have a 1 in 6 audition to like ratio, and I cannot get out of the 50th percentile on Voice123. So I really don't have a lot to submit on that platform, because when you're in the bottom, the opportunities just aren't there. So the fact that I can submit as much as I want on voices.com without having to worry about pleasing an algorithm, a punishing algorithm, that in and of itself is already great. Everything that I have seen and auditioned for on voices.com at this point has been absolutely fair rates. I have not seen crappy projects. Now, that being said, I do have a threshold, a $250 threshold set on voices.com. So are there projects that are coming in that are below that threshold? No doubt. I'm sure there are. I am only seeing things above 250, which may also be one of the reasons why I've only seen I've seen a smaller number of projects at this point. But the projects that I am seeing above that 250 threshold, the rates have been more than fair. Every one of them has been right in the ballpark pretty much of what I would charge if a client was coming to me directly. And so I've been very impressed by that, because that was certainly not the story that I was hearing from voice actors about the rates on voices.com. Now, I'm sure if you factor in the $5 jobs or the $50 jobs or whatever, are the rates lower on voices.com? I guess, but I don't submit to those on Voice123 either. I have a $250 threshold set on Voice123 as well. But anyway, that's where it's at. We're a week in. It's been an interesting experience so far. I certainly like the price better than, I'm paying $2,200 a year on Voice123, and I feel like it was just, I took that money and just flushed it down the toilet at this point. Now, I can't officially say that because I've actually made my money back, but the only reason I have been able to make my money back at this point is because of some direct bookings, because I cannot get myself out of the 50th percentile. So I cannot get access to more projects on Voice123, which has been absolutely infuriating. Just for that reason alone, I am already more of a fan at this point of Voice123. Do I love the 20% commission that they take? Not specifically, but your agent takes a 20% commission and nobody complains about it when the agent takes a 20% commission. Would I rather pay a lower monthly fee and then have the commission on the projects that I book? Yeah, I think I would, right? And so, I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, it's been a week. Still lots of time for me to change my mind at this point, I guess. But anyway, it's been real so far. So that's what's going on. That's the confession that I have to make, is that I did sign up for voices.com, and I'm sure that I'm going to catch some flack from some people in the industry who are just waiting for the chance to crap on me for that. But I have no regrets. I want to be able to talk intelligently about these things, and it's a big part of the industry. They did a lot of things a decade ago that I wasn't a big fan of, but show of hands, who's never made a mistake in their entire life in the past that they regretted, learned from the mistake, and got better. Like, I don't think anybody can put their hand up, right? So anyway, let's go to some questions. Just wanted to say thanks for talking about your experience with Brad Hyland. Just started coaching with him, and he is awesome. Brad is awesome. Brad is actually a big part of the reason why I am back on voices.com. He's been trying to talk me into it for quite a while. Gina Scarpa was trying to talk me into it for quite a while as well. And keep in mind, they have nothing to gain by me being on that platform. It's not like, they get a kickback because I signed up or anything like that. But Brad has been absolutely a champion for me, and I'm very grateful to him. And I know that he will be an incredible mentor and coach for anybody who decides to work with him. In the Summer Series podcast with Lee Laird, you mentioned adding pages to your website for the narrations you're posting by category to aid SEO and GEO. Are they landing pages or sub pages? Okay, Barb, good question. I use WordPress for my website. So let me show you. Let me pull this up here. Okay, so if we go to markscottvoiceover.com and we go to the documentary narration page, so this is a landing page. So if I was going to market to somebody in the documentary space, this is the page that I would send them to. My documentary demo loads first, some information about my documentary work, blah, blah, blah. But all of these that show up, these are all the docu-shorts that I've done. And so I have used Claude to build pages as we're using the blog feature in WordPress. So Claude has built pages for every single one of the docu-shorts that I've done. And these are there for the sole purpose of SEO, GEO. Now, if somebody wants to click through and see the video, absolutely they can do it. But all the text that has been written, everything that has been created there, it has all been done for the sole purpose of SEO, GEO. Here's something fun. I've been doing some more research on this, continuing to try to learn. So SEO, search engine optimization, that's what we used to do when we wanted to try and rank page 1 in Google. GEO is generative engine optimization, and that is what for a while people were referring to as optimizing for large language models. So if you want to be found in ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, whatever, GEO was the term, generative engine optimization. Now the term that I'm reading is AEO, which is answer engine optimization, because a lot of people, that's how they're treating ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, whatever. You're going into ChatGPT and you're asking it a question and it is giving you an answer. And so they're now calling it answer engine optimization, or AEO. So if you see any of those terms, GEO, AEO, things like that, they're all basically talking about the same thing. It's really just about trying to optimize for ranking in the LLMs. So just like if somebody goes into Google and does a search, you want to come up on page 1 of Google search results. If somebody goes into ChatGPT and does a search, you want to be one of the pages or one of the individuals that ChatGPT is referring back to, so that you can pick up some extra, potentially some extra leads from that system as well. Kevin says, hey, Mark, thanks for doing this. Any advice for re-engaging with email leads if or when they go cold right after having the rate conversation? Yeah, don't be afraid to follow up, and don't be afraid to ask about the budget, right? So one of the things when I send out a rate, one of the questions that I always ask is, here's what my standard rate would be. How does this align with your budget? And so by asking, how does this align with your budget? I feel like I'm leaving the door open for the conversation. Obviously, yes, I want to get my rate. That is my goal. But I would hate to lose out on a project. If I bid 1,000 and their budget was 800, I would hate to lose out on a project if I felt like the rate was still fair because of a couple $100, right? And I don't want to feel like the door is just closed. At the same time, if I quote 500 and their budget is 50, I mean, we're probably way too far apart, and that's okay as well. But I want to try to leave the door open for that conversation. And so if you've already sent out the rate and you haven't heard anything, I wouldn't be afraid to follow up in a few days and just say, hey, just wanted to touch base. Did you have a chance to look at the quote? Do you have any questions about it? How does it align with the budget that you're working with? And so it's not too late to re-engage with that conversation. And so that's what I would be doing, Kevin. Tony says, Voices uses an algorithm to test your worth, so you need to get likes and bookings to pump it up. Okay, so there is an element of that. I don't think it's as punishing as Voice123's. I could be wrong, but I guess time will tell, because like I said, I think I've submitted 16. I've had 8 listens. I've had 3 shortlists. I mean, I feel like I feel like that should be good, but I don't really know. So if anybody has any insights into the averages or anything for voices.com, I kind of wish Gina was here right now. I'd like to be able to ask Gina Scarpa some of these questions and see what she thinks, but that's where I'm at there. What do you think is the best optimum level volume of an audition so the casting director does not send you to the no folder of his 1,000 auditions? So if you're talking specifically about the volume itself, I think probably -3 on the high end. But it varies, because there are some people that say -6. There are some, like audiobooks is -10. I learned that doing my very first audiobook. I did not realize that is what they were that they were normalized to was -10. But I would say probably if you're between -3 and -6. But what I would also say is I don't think volume is the thing that is going to get you sent to the no folder as much as the actual quality of the audio itself. So you could have a perfectly normalized voiceover clip that you send in, but if it sounds like you're recording in a really boxy room, or if it sounds like you're recording in a very echoey room, or if it sounds like you're recording on your cell phone in the bathroom at the subway station, the volume isn't really going to be the thing that matters as much. And so I don't think that that would be the thing that I would be concerned about as much as the actual quality of the sound file itself. Do my room acoustics sound great? Is my noise floor where it needs to be? And am I not over processing or anything like that as well? That would certainly be another factor for me. So again, welcome to Free Advice Friday. Great to see you guys here. Thanks everybody for jumping in. If you've got a question that you would like to ask, I will answer as many questions as I can, over the next 45 minutes or whatever that we've got left. If you are going to ask a question, when you type it in the comments, just put a Q beside it before you start. That way, as I'm scrolling through all of the comments on the screen, it makes it a little bit easier for me to find all of those questions. But certainly happy to answer as many questions as I can here on Free Advice Friday. And thank you guys for coming and joining and asking your questions and hanging out with me. I know it's been a while and I appreciate it. All right, let's see. Tony says, recently I saw an audition that wanted explicitly Canadian voices but showed North American accents welcome. Do you or have you ever auditioned for USA only voice actor auditions? Thoughts? On casting sites, when they specifically say US only, I do not. And the reason why right now is there is obviously a little tension going on between Canada and the United States in certain realms of the spectrum. Let's not get political here. So if somebody has explicitly stated, we want an American voice, I don't think that what they're saying is we want an American voice as much as they're probably saying we want an American. Now, are there some who are just simply saying we don't want a British? I mean, maybe, right? So sometimes they are talking about accents, but on the casting sites, particularly Voice123, I'm trying to get a like on every audition. And so that's one of those ones where I'm probably going to pass on it unless I feel like I am absolutely the perfect guy for this because of specs or because of something else that I bring to the table or whatever. But in most instances, I'm definitely going to pass on that. And I would say when they're asking for Canadian voices, more often than not, again, because of certain tensions that are happening right now, they're really wanting to work with a Canadian. And sometimes there are other variables that go into that as well. It's not just about some of the tensions that are existing between the two countries in certain areas. Sometimes it's about taxes and tax grants and things like that as well. But yeah, generally speaking, I'm probably going to pass on those just because I don't want to audition for something that I know I'm not going to get a like for if I'm auditioning and they want an American and I am a Canadian. I got an audition for something huge that is in perpetuity, but exclusivity is only for a year. How does that work? So what they're saying is, let's just pick some brands, okay? So you just got an opportunity with Dr. Pepper, and they're asking for the spot in perpetuity, but they're asking for exclusivity for 1 year. So what they're saying is for 1 year, you cannot work with any other soda brand. For 1 year, we own you in the soda space. After that 1 year, you are more than welcome to go and work for other soda brands, but we're still going to have the voiceover. The thing with in perpetuity, and I would say particularly in the commercial space, the odds of a commercial running until the end of time are probably pretty slim to none. Now, I know that that is not maybe the best way to always go about this, but I saw something the other day that had in perpetuity written in it. And I'm convinced that most people don't even know what that means. They just put it there because the box is there, and so they just check it. But the spot was dated. So I know that there's no chance that this spot is going to be running a year from now or 5 years from now or 10 years from now, even though they're asking for in perpetuity. So what do I do at that point? Do I say, oh, this is in perpetuity, so I can't submit for this? Or do I use a little bit of common sense and say, oh, this spot is dated, So yeah, I'm probably safe to go ahead and audition for this. I saw an in perpetuity on a casting site this week on a political ad. Well, what is that? Like, you know darn well that this ad is running because they're getting ready for the midterms. That ad, they're not going to run the same commercial for the next round of elections 2 years from now or whatever. Like, so I think there's an element of common sense that has to go into this as well, because I genuinely believe that a lot of clients that are asking for in perpetuity, they don't even always know what it means. But I would also say, don't be afraid to ask. So if it's a casting site, put it in your audition notes. If it's a client that you're working with directly, write an email back and just say, hey, you're asking for in perpetuity, which is you're asking me to give you this for the rest of time. Do you actually need this for the rest of time? Or is there a scenario where we could agree to 1 year of usage and then offer a renewal option or something? And so don't be afraid to ask the question either, because they may not even realize exactly what it is that they are asking for. I got an email from Voices about this. Thoughts: starting next week, clients can search specifically for talent who are open to AI casting through a new AI-ready talent filter. I mean, my thoughts are this is not a surprise. Do I love it? No, I don't love it. But here's where I think you have to be really objective. What is Voices.com at the end of the day? Voices.com is a business looking to make money. And they are a business that is looking to make money by staying relevant. They are not a voiceover actor business. They're not. We feel like they are because we pay the fee to be a part of the site. But at the end of the day, that's not their exclusive business. So am I surprised that they're going to start offering something like that? No, I am not. Do I think that it's going to end up being the thing that takes over the website? Oh, probably not. I think right now a lot of this stuff is just testing. They're trying to figure it out. The reality is that there's a percentage of people out there who are using AI voices. And a lot of the people who are using AI voices are using AI voices because they're good enough. I think probably if any one of us was being honest right now, we've lost work because of AI. I would find it, I would be very skeptical of any voice actor at this point who says that they have never had a single encounter where they lost an opportunity because of AI. I think if somebody is telling you that, the very first question I would ask you is, do they sell something to voice actors? Because then they would have a vested interest in making you believe that everything is sunshine and rainbows. But I think at this point, we've all seen it. Does it surprise me that Voices.com is going to adapt something like that? No, it doesn't. Voice123's been doing the same thing for several years now. So, you know, do I love it? Not specifically. Do I need to participate in it? No. Do I think that it's going to be the end of the online casting platform? Probably not, because if it does, then it's also the end of partly a big portion of Voices.com's business model, right? How are the online casting platforms going to charge voice actors $600 a year or $2,200 a year or $5,000 a year if there's no opportunities for the voice actors anymore? So I'm guessing, and I did not see the email, so I can't speak exactly to what they're talking about, but I'm guessing it's probably something that they're testing. And I think that there's probably a lot of voice actors who aren't going to participate. I think there are probably voice actors who will, but there are also voice actors who audition for $5 projects on online casting sites. It is what it is. Richie says, what's the key to recording while traveling as far as quality? I just sent out an email yesterday. Let me see if I can find the link here. Back in the fall, I did a podcast with Jay Preston. I'm going to see if I can find this. I actually just sent out a link to this podcast yesterday as one that you might want to check out. Here we go. This is it. Let me bring this up. Cancel that. Please stand by. Okay, I'm going to put this link in the chat. There we go. Link is in the chat. The episode, if you want to search it up right here, you can search it up on YouTube. It's called Mobile Studio Hacks, Recording VO from the Road with Jay Preston. Mobile Studio Hacks, recording from the road with Jay Preston. This is the episode right here. Go back and check out that episode. I think it'll probably answer a lot of the questions for you. The biggest thing for me, I think that probably the two biggest things when I'm recording from the road, one is you still got to have a quiet space. No matter what, you've got to have a quiet space. I have a tri-booth that I love and I use a lot of times, but I've also recorded in hotel rooms with pillow forts built around the structure of an ironing board. So there's that. And I think that you've got to have a really great microphone. I think you've got to have the right microphone for the space. That's one of the reasons why I love the 416. I know that there are much cheaper alternatives to the 416. Shotgun microphone is basically what you're looking at. And so those two things alone, I think, can be really key. Going back to the normalizing for auditions, Voices.com says at Voices, we recommend normalizing to -1 for your auditions. That seems really hot to me. I typically normalize to -3. I don't go any beyond that, but I mean, whatever. If that's what Voices.com wants. I can't say that it's cost me anything at this point by normalizing to -3 versus -1. I just feel like if you're recording and normalizing to -1, the audition may come out really hot. So when you're listening through 100 auditions, if most of the people didn't normalize that far, then all of a sudden, it's like when the commercials come on TV and the volume gets way louder. But that's just me. Andrew says, when you don't have a professional demo yet, what would you recommend doing to get more clips into VDC for the algorithm? This is an interesting question, and I actually recorded a podcast yesterday. The episode's going to come out in a few weeks. And somebody actually asked me this exact question. So this is for the summer series on the podcast. I do think that you can make your own clips in certain genres. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I also know that if you don't have $2,500 to get a professional demo, your hands are tied. So here's the way I look at it. If you don't have a demo and you don't have any clips, you're not making any money. And you're not booking any work. If you can't afford a demo, then you're not making any money and you're not going to book any work. So the worst case scenario here is no matter what, you're not making any money and you're not booking any work. If I can record some samples on my own to at least get some stuff online, and that opens the door to the potential to get some work, then isn't it worth it? Isn't it worth it to try? Because if the alternative is I just do nothing and make nothing, that doesn't feel like a great alternative at this point. So I want to have a little bit of agency to be able to have a little bit of control. Now, do I think that every voice actor is capable of producing their own samples that are going to compete or sound competitive with professionally produced demos? No, I do not. And that's why I am still 100% a proponent for professional demos. But can you get some samples that you can produce on your own that can at least get your foot in the door while you're trying to work your way up to that commercial demo or that narration demo or whatever? To me, I don't see how you got anything to lose by trying. That's my personal opinion. Would I be trying to do like full-blown produced commercials and all of that sort of stuff? I probably wouldn't, because I don't think that my production skills are there. Could I do some basic corporate narrations or some explainers or some e-learning or some telephony or things of that nature? I could create some stuff there and get away with it. So I do think that that is one possibility. And I know that there are people that will disagree with me on that, because the standard is that you always want to have and should have a professional demo. I am 100% on board with that. I believe that the professional demo makes a huge difference. But I also understand that if the money's not there, sometimes you got to have a plan B. I did it myself when I started out. I did not have professional demos when I first started out. Now, I was working in radio and I had already done voiceover work prior to pursuing voiceover work, just because I did it, indirectly through working in radio and television. And so when I got started, I was able to use a lot of clips from things that I had voiced in my radio and television career. So they were, well-produced stuff, but it wasn't a professional voiceover demo. I didn't get my first professionally produced commercial demo until I was making $100,000 a year in voiceover. And, a lot of that I was making off of casting sites, because back in the day, that was still possible. Not so much today for most of us, but back in the day it was possible. I mentioned the summer series, and I mentioned that I answered this question. I do go much more depth in the summer series episode that's coming up. If you haven't heard about the summer series for the Everyday VOpreneur podcast, for June, July, and August, I have been inviting everyday VOpreneurs to come on the show and ask me their most pressing business and marketing question. And the idea behind this is, first and foremost, these are short, quick hit episodes, so they're really easy for me to produce, which gives me a little bit of a break for the summer. But also, the chances are, if there's a voice actor that is out there thinking about this question, there's more than one voice actor that is probably out there thinking about this question. And so I think there's an advantage for everybody in that as well. So I do still have a few spots available for August. So if you go to, I just put the link in the chat, but if you go to VOpreneur.com/summer series, VOpreneur.com/summer series, this is the page that's going to load. You can submit this form. And if you have a question that you would like to answer or get answered on the podcast, come on the show, ask the question, and I answer it. Submit this form, VOpreneur.com/summer series. Now, I can't guarantee that everybody's going to get in, but I am still accepting submissions. Like I said, I got a couple of spots left that I need to fill for August. So go and fill it out if you've got a question that you would like to ask on the podcast, and I would love to have the opportunity to do that for you. All right, again, welcome to Free Advice Friday. If you do have a question that you would like to ask, by all means, type it into the comments, put a Q beside it if you can. It makes it a little bit easier for me to find when I'm scrolling through the chat. If I have missed your question, I apologize. I am not intentionally trying to skip over questions, but when things really get popping off in the chat, sometimes I miss things. And so if I have missed your question, if you asked it earlier in the show, don't be afraid to type it in again, and I will hopefully see it the second time around. All right, let's see. Where are we going? After finding out that production companies have been inputting VAs into AI for scratch tracks, a la what Karen Gilfrey discovered, does that give you pause when auditioning for new potential clients? I'm not surprised. I think that we could add notes into our auditions that you're not allowed to use this. Please do not put this into any AI model. I think we can put those disclaimers in. Do I think that that is going to stop it? No. Does it give us some sort of recourse? Potentially. But then, are you going to go into an expensive lawsuit as well? It's a brave new world. And I'm not 100% sure how to navigate some of these things. It's something I think about a lot myself. I also think about the fact that my voice is out there in public just as much or more than a lot of people's. I'm here on YouTube. I have these live streams. I have my podcast. So the audio of my podcast is out there. There's 300 some odd episodes of the podcast, right? Like, is it possible that somebody's already done it with my voice? I'm probably. I haven't come across it yet, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. So I'm not sure what we do there, other than it probably doesn't hurt at this point to add a disclaimer into your emails when you're submitting an audition for someone that they do not have permission to use this to enter this into any kind of AI model or software. Like I said, I don't know that it stops it, but at least it gives you potential recourse down the road if you need it. I've lost a lot of work to AI with e-learning projects, so I'm just not going to spend time trying to email market to e-learning developers. Yeah, my e-learning business got destroyed last year, and I've talked very openly about it. I've done podcast episodes about it. I lost $60,000+ worth of e-learning work last year. Almost every e-learning client that I had, and every one of them was very apologetic. Every one of them told me that it wasn't anything that I had done wrong. Every one of them told me that they actually hated working with AI. It was strictly an economic thing. I mean, there's not much I can do about that, right? It doesn't make me feel great to know that the work is gone, but at least I know that they're miserable working with AI. I don't know. Maybe there's some satisfaction in that at this point. I don't know. But yeah, I've pretty much stopped marketing myself in the e-learning space at this point too. I still reach out to some of the instructional designers that I'm connected with, just because some of them have said, maybe things will change. They hope that things will change. One of the things you have to understand about e-learning in particular, not every course, but in a lot of instances, when these courses are being created, at the end of the course, there's very often a survey. And one of the questions that often pops up in the survey has to do with the production of the course. And I know there have been times in the past where there have been surveys about the narrator of the course. And I know this because I've had instructional designers talk to me about this. And so if they are creating courses with e-learning and they're putting those, if they're creating courses with AI and they're putting those surveys into those courses, and at the end, everybody's saying this voice sucks crap, at some point, maybe somebody pays attention. I don't know. So have I given up entirely? Not yet. Not yet. It's possible that the pendulum may swing back. But definitely for now, I'm putting the bulk of my marketing efforts into other genres. If I know for a fact I don't want to work in the commercial genre, do I spend thousands of dollars for a new commercial demo or stick with my narration demo and other samples? Yeah, why? There's no reason in my mind why you would do a commercial demo if you do not want to work in the commercial space. So there's a couple of things that I would say here. One, there is a incredibly old school mentality in the industry that you have to do your commercial demo first, because for years, the way the industry worked was you did your commercial demo, you did a broad spectrum narration demo. So that narration demo had maybe some TV narration, maybe some corporate narration, maybe some sort of training narration, like it had everything on it. So in the end, you had a commercial demo and a broad narration demo. And that's what you had to send to agents, and that is how you ultimately got hired. Sometimes you didn't even need the narration demo because some agents didn't even bother with that. You just needed the commercial demo. That's the way the industry worked for a very, very, very long time. That is not the way the industry has worked for about 15 years now, but for some reason, we haven't got past this narrative that you have to do your commercial demo first. The only way that I would say you need to do your commercial demo in this instance, one, you decide that you want to start working in commercial. Obviously, it's to your advantage to have a commercial demo. Two, if you want to get agents. If you want to get agents, I'm not going to say there's no agents that will consider you without a commercial demo, because I don't know for sure. But I would say the vast majority of agents will not consider you for the roster if you do not have a commercial demo, because that's their bread and butter, is commercial. I mentioned earlier, I did not get my first professionally produced demo until I was making $100,000 a year. And that was a commercial demo. I didn't have a professional commercial demo for a long time because I was making my money in the non-broadcast space. And so why was I going to focus on commercial at that point? It just didn't feel like it was necessary. So I made my money in the non-broadcast space. And then when I had the money in the bank, I went out and started expanding into the commercial space. And so I think one of the things that has definitely changed in this industry is the path that you can follow is very diverse. It used to be commercial demo, narration demo, agent, done. Now, it doesn't have to be that way anymore. All right, let's see. Again, if you guys have questions, by all means, please type them in the comments. I am not trying to miss any questions. Oh, yes. Don't forget to hit the like icon. If you are enjoying the live stream, if you are enjoying the answers, if I have answered one of your questions, or if you just want to be kind, certainly I would appreciate if you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. That way you will always get notified whenever I am going live for Free Advice Friday. Fred says, hey, Mark, I went with VDC after our visit on the summer series. How are you finding it, Fred? I'd be very curious to know what your experience has been like so far. Like I said, I've only been on it for a week at this point, but in that 1 week, I would hands down recommend voices.com over Voice123, regardless of what people feel about voices.com. At this point, it just feels like a lot lower stress site, I think. Is there anybody really cool coming up on the summer series? No, absolutely not. There are no cool people coming up on the summer series. I know what you're getting at, Mr. Briscoe. I know exactly what you're getting at. Let me see. Let me look at what's coming up on the summer series. There are actually some really great episodes coming up on the summer series. Let me pull up my schedule. because I'm working ahead, so I don't always remember where I'm at. Cyan Newton is going to be on in a couple of weeks, and we're talking about getting demo ready, which was her question. Ali Laziri was on. We just recorded an episode yesterday, and she wanted to talk about what do I do when I have limited demos and samples to work with, and so we took a deep dive into that. Rosanna Pilcher is going to be coming up in a few weeks, and she wanted to talk about marketing with a pseudonym. And I got to tell you, that one, I was like, this is an interesting one. And I needed to spend some time thinking about that one because I wasn't 100% sure where to go with that. But we're going to be talking about marketing with a pseudonym so for any of you that are in that space, maybe you do certain types of audiobooks and maybe you're using a different name because of those certain types of audiobooks that you're doing. And you don't know how to blend the two worlds or keep the two worlds separate and market yourself. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Some guy named Terry Briscoe is going to be on the show, too. That brings up a question. How would you jump into voiceover today? I've probably asked this before, but I don't recall. I don't know that I would do anything a whole lot different from what I did before, other than when I got started in the industry a very long time ago. Let's not talk about how long ago. I was doing online casting. So at that point, I was doing Voice123. I was doing voices.com. Both of those sites were very different from how they look today. Very different. But I was doing both of those sites, and I was making pretty decent money doing both of those sites. The one thing that I would do differently is I would have started my direct marketing a lot sooner. I rode the gravy train of online casting for a very long time, and it never really occurred to me to do direct marketing in the beginning because I didn't know anything about it. So why would it occur to me? But when I started seeing things change on the online casting platforms, when I saw some of the rules changing, when I saw at the time it was Voice123's SmartCast changing, I realized that I was going to have a plan B if I was going to continue to make money in this industry. And that's when I started thinking, okay, there are people on these casting sites who are hiring voice actors. It stands to reason that there are people out there who want to hire voice actors who are not on these casting sites. There are people out there who want to hire voice actors who aren't familiar with these casting sites. And so maybe they just don't even know where to find a voice actor. And so maybe if I can reach out to these people and connect with them directly and establish relationships with them directly, I can bypass the casting site and just start having some of my own direct clients. And that was literally what the thought process was. And then it was trial, error, experimentation to try to figure out how to make it work. And that's when I started doing my own marketing. But that was years later. And so that's the one thing that I would definitely do different. So if I was starting today, I would get myself on the online casting sites because that's going to get me access to auditions on a regular basis starting today. And I think there's absolutely an advantage there. I would get the best demos that I can possibly get with what I can afford. And I would focus on one or two genres that I really feel like I've got a good shot to book in. I can always add more demos down the road. Ideally, I want to work in the commercial space. Anywhere in the broadcast space. One of those commercials or one of those demos is going to be a commercial demo, and I'm going to be able to get myself in front of some agents, and I'm going to be able to get some access to some auditions through some agents. I would be looking for training opportunities, not just with voiceover coaches, but I would absolutely be looking for training opportunities with agents and casting directors. How can I get myself in front of agents and casting directors? And there are websites that run workshops specifically with agents and casting directors. Do as many of those as I can to get in front of them so that when I am reaching out to them, I'm not just reaching out to them as a completely cold stranger, but I'm reaching out to them as someone that they have seen in the past. And I would get started on my own direct marketing a lot sooner. I would be marketing to whoever was the right person based on the genres that I'm looking at. Let's see. What else? Can you talk about your upcoming LinkedIn course? Yes, I can. I have been a huge fan of LinkedIn for a very long time. I've been using LinkedIn as a big part of my voiceover marketing for a very long time. It has probably been my number one source of leads as far as social media is concerned. Constantly finding new opportunities and getting connected with new people, expanding my network in new ways. I've been teaching a LinkedIn class for a number of years at this point. But one of the things that I started to see was that In the last year in particular, LinkedIn has changed a lot. It has been changing a lot. The way that the site works is changing a lot. And you're not going to be surprised to hear that it is because of, wait for it, AI. LinkedIn has obviously greatly embraced AI. This year, I haven't really done a lot of coaching this year. I haven't done any courses this year because I've just been focused on building my voiceover business back. When I got crushed in the e-learning space last year, that represented a huge portion of my business, and I needed to make that money back. And so I decided this year that I was going to greatly reduce the amount of coaching that I did. I haven't released Playbook. I didn't do a mastermind this year. Not doing as much one-on-one coaching this year. I just wanted to focus on my business and building back my voiceover business. In the process of doing that, I've been learning a lot more about LinkedIn and a lot more about the changes that have been happening on LinkedIn. And I decided that there was enough of a significant change there that it was time to overhaul that course. So the last time I overhauled it was in 2024. So I am completely rebuilding it almost from the ground up because a lot of what I taught in the previous class, I'm not going to say it's not relevant, but it's not relevant to the same degree that it is today. And there's so much new stuff that you need to understand. So the way that LinkedIn is working now is completely different. And that is why I decided to do this LinkedIn class. So right off the bat, if you have previously purchased Making Money with LinkedIn, if you've previously purchased it from me, you don't need to do anything. You're going to get access to the updated course regardless. So just wait for it. Once the video is available, I will let you know. If you have never taken my LinkedIn class, but you want to learn how to use LinkedIn, you want to understand what is going on LinkedIn today, 2026. Tuesday, July 28th, 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to teach this class live via Zoom. It's going to be about 2 hours long. If you cannot attend live, don't worry. Sign up anyway. Everybody that signs up for this class is going to get access to the complete video recording, so you will not miss anything. If you go to VOpreneur.com and click on the store button, this is it. You'll see it right here at the top of the page. You can click on it. This is a complete breakdown of everything that we're going to be walking through. I'm going to walk through what needs to be different in your profile. I'm going to walk through what needs to be different in your content strategy. I'm going to walk through networking strategies, building leads, some of my favorite LinkedIn hacks, all of this sort of stuff. I'm going to walk you through everything. But again, this is happening on Tuesday, July the 28th, 7 o'clock Eastern. Let me put this link in the chat. This is literally everything that I have been learning about LinkedIn in the past couple of months that has caused me to overhaul my LinkedIn profile and also really tweaking my content strategy on LinkedIn as well. It's all because of these things that I am learning, and I want you guys to understand this as well. And so this is going to be the first, I think this is the first class that I've taught in 2026. There was that much of a change, and I think it's that important that I wanted to be able to offer this up. So that is what is going on with that one. So again, I just put the link in the chat. You can also go to the VOpreneur, just click on the store button. But Making Money with LinkedIn, seating is going to be limited for that one. We will be live via Zoom. If you can't be there live, you will get access to a video recording. So don't worry about that. But definitely, I think this is a class that is worth checking out if you want to get a better understanding of how to use LinkedIn as a marketing tool for your voiceover business. I've been thinking about going back into the P2Ps. Is Sam Damiano who you recommend to help you maximize the accounts? I have used VDC, but I haven't done 123 yet. I'm hesitant to spend all that money. Sam has been absolutely incredible for me. I don't know if she will do it for just anybody at this point because she's pretty busy. You could certainly ask her. I'm going to give her crap because she doesn't appear to be in the live stream today, which I'm very disappointed, Sam. I can't believe you didn't show up to my live stream. What I will say is Gina Scarpa offers some very, very brilliant classes on voices.com. She understands that platform intimately. And so I would check out Gina Scarpa and do a search for her voices.com training. I had her on the podcast. We talked a lot about voices.com. On Voice123, there's the V123 Pros. They know that platform inside out and backwards. I think they might actually understand the algorithm better than Voice123 understands it themselves. So the V123 Pros offer an amazing training course that you could check out. They've been on the podcast as well, and they're going to be coming on the podcast again in the fall. Nikki Schwartz has the Online Casting Optimizer website, and Nikki does profile optimization for Voice123. She's got an entire system that she's built. Nikki's been on the podcast, and we've talked about that. And just today, I think it was actually, I got an email from Tom Deere, and Tom has just come out with a brand new guide for Voice123. And Tom is somebody who has had incredible success on the Voice123 platform. Let me see. I just read this email today. In the past 5 years, I've made over $75,000 on Voice123. Yes, it's on the $2,200 tier, which I know many of you can't afford, but you can make your money back and more at the $888 tier and possibly the $495 tier as well. So he's got something new. It's called the Voice123 Playbook, and it's only $20. It's a PDF. I'm probably going to buy it, actually. So there are a couple of really great training options out there as well if you are interested in learning a little bit more about how Voice123 works or how Voices.com works. So again, that's Nikki Schwartz and the Online Casting Optimizer, the V123 Pros, and Gina Scarpa specifically for Voices.com. All right, let's see. Getting back to your questions, I know we're running out of time here. I apologize if I have missed your question. Again, I'm not trying to miss any questions, but if I did miss it, if you asked it earlier, don't be afraid to put it in again. Gina's course is well worth the money. There you go. So there's a testimonial about Gina's course, that it is well worth the money. Let's see. Scrolling. How do you feel about naming your client or contacts in your testimonials and reviews on your website? I usually won't put their full name. I'll usually put their first name and maybe their last initial. And the only reason for that is because you voiceover buggers are dirty buggers, and you'll all come onto my profiles and steal all my clients. And so, yeah, lots of times I just put the first name and the last initial, just because of that. I want to protect their privacy as well. Let's see. What else? What's your take about producing your own demo with only real projects and no fictitious ones? Isn't it of more value to showcase projects that you've already nailed? That's been something that I have done for years. My corporate demo, I just did a corporate narration demo with the Demo Dream Team. It just came out about a month ago. It might actually be my favorite demo that I have ever produced. It is incredible, absolutely incredible. Up until that demo, I have never had a professionally produced corporate narration demo, because all I have ever done is used clips from projects that I've worked on, from actual bookings, and I was able to constantly refresh it. Listening to the difference between my old corporate narration demo and my new corporate narration demo, honestly, it is a wonder that I ever booked a corporate narration job ever. So, can you use clips from projects? 100% you can. In my opinion, I've been there. I've done that. I've used that for different types of commercial. I've done it for corporate. I've done it for commercial. I've done it for explainers in particular. But can there still be value in a professionally produced demo? 100%. But here's something else that I will say. You can't have too many clips anymore, in my opinion. So once upon a time, you had a commercial demo, a corporate demo, maybe you had an explainer demo, maybe you had an automotive demo, maybe you had some kind of narration demo, maybe it was a TV narration demo, something like that, right? So maybe you have 4 or 5 demos that you're working with in the main genres that you're focused on. And between those 4 or 5 demos, you've got what? 25, 30 clips, maybe, right? Each demo's got 5 or 6 spots on it. I think my Voice123 profile right now has like 70 some odd clips on it. You can't have too many clips. That is one of the big shifts that is happening, and online casting is partly responsible for it. I think Bob Merkle is the godfather of it. When Bob Merkle came out with VoiceSam and gave us the ability to break up our demos into clips, I think he was the godfather of this entire movement, and I'm grateful to him for it. Because now It is so much easier. Somebody wants conversational, get a clip. Somebody wants engaging, get a clip. Somebody wants authoritative, get a clip. Somebody wants friendly next door, get a clip. Like, name it. Name the direction that you've seen and that you've read in an online casting profile breakdown, in a casting breakdown from an agent or a casting director, in a breakdown or a brief from a client that you've worked with, whatever. Name the direction. You could literally have a clip for every single one of those directions. You could have 5 clips for every single one of those directions now and build them all out into various and assorted playlists. And I think it's to your advantage to do it. And so even if you did go out and get a professionally produced demo, there's no reason why you couldn't have a separate playlist with projects that you have actually worked on. So you have your professionally produced commercial demo, and that's one playlist. But then you have actual commercial samples, and that is a second playlist. Andrew says, what are some of those sites for finding and participating in workshops with agents and casting directors? There is one in particular that I'm going to give you. Let me find it very quickly. Here it is. actingandvoicestudios.com. I'm going to put this in the chat. Acting and Voice Studios. Oh, hang on a second. There we go. The link didn't copy properly. Please stand by. Please stand by. There we go. It's in the chat. Is eLearning drying up because it's long-form content and that makes it more expensive to pay voice talent? eLearning, in my opinion, eLearning is drying up because AI is just cheaper, period. It's not better. It doesn't make the content better. I don't think that it makes the content more engaging. In fact, I think it probably actually hurts the content, but it is strictly a financial factor, no question. And every single e-learning client that I have lost in the last year, actually I lost them all last year, every single one of them told me that straight up. This is 100% financial, period. All right, let's see. What time is it? I could probably answer one more question. Who's going to ask the last question on Free Advice Friday? If I missed your question, I sincerely apologize. I am not trying to miss anybody's questions. You can type it in the comments. I will try to find it. If I missed it earlier, put it back, type it again. I will answer your questions. But I've got time for one more here on Free Advice Friday if somebody wants to ask it. Thank you guys, by the way, for coming out. VOpreneur.com, click on the store button. That is where you are going to find the Making Money with LinkedIn class. Not too late to get signed up for that. If you've got something that you would like to do on the summer series, I would love to have you come on the summer series and ask your question. VOpreneur.com/summer series. VOpreneur.com/summer series. Go to that site, go to that page, submit your question. Like I said, I've got a few spots left for August. Do you use Logic Pro? I do not, but I'll tell you what, I've been thinking about it. My Adobe package increased by more than double this year. It's insane. I am now paying almost $60 a month for Adobe. And that, I mean, now granted, I do use the suite. I use Audition and I use Adobe Premiere. I use Adobe Premiere a lot. So I'm not just paying for Audition, but my package went from I was paying $14.95 a month last year, and I'm paying almost $60 a month this year. It's insane. And everybody's like, just reach out. They'll give you a deal. Yeah, no, they wouldn't give me a deal. I tried. And I tried to use the student teacher discount because I do have a student card because I was taking a college class. Didn't matter. Apparently you can only use that once. That's what they told me. I don't know. Anyway, so because of that, I have genuinely thought that I was going to, I've thought about switching because I have used Final Cut Pro in the past for video editing. So I have genuinely thought about switching over to Apple's new package and using Logic and using Final Cut Pro. Right now, there is one plugin that I use in Adobe Premiere. It's an AI plugin that helps me with editing the podcast. If that plugin existed for Final Cut Pro, I would switch in a heartbeat. But because that plugin does not exist and there is nothing comparable to it at this point, I cannot leave Adobe Premiere. It would quadruple the amount of time I spend editing the podcast. And so for now, I have to stay. But I do know some voice actors who use Logic Pro and are very happy with it. Let's see. It would be great if Adobe would just go on a one-time annual and make it more affordable. You know what would be even better? I used to own Adobe. I bought it outright a long time ago. I had it on CD. I bought it. And then all of a sudden, my software got bricked and I couldn't use it anymore. And then they went to the subscription. I freaking hate the subscription model. But yes, I agree. It would be nice if they came out with some sort of an annual plan and offered a discount on it. That would be fantastic. But oh my gosh, it is so expensive now. It is so expensive now. All right, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for coming and hanging out on Free Advice Friday. I certainly do appreciate it. Looking forward to getting the replay available. If you came in late, if you missed some questions early, don't worry. You're going to be able to go back and watch the replay. I will get chapter markers put in. You'll see all the questions that were asked and answered. Again, head to the website, VOpreneur.com/summer series. Submit your question for the summer series episodes of the podcast. Few spots left for August. VOpreneur.com/store. And there you can find the Making Money with LinkedIn Masterclass. Click on that one and get your seat saved for that. That's going to be a really great training coming up here in a couple of weeks as well. Before you jump out, hit the like button. I would certainly appreciate it. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel as well so you'll get notified anytime that I am going live. Don't forget to check out the latest episode of the podcast, which is also here on the YouTube channel. All right, guys, that's it for me. Thanks again for watching. Whatever you decide to do this weekend, as always, have fun, stay safe, and go find some leads.